Because of my son, we almost ended up in court and had to move to a different town, all because he got a computer and someone showed him Roblox, specifically grow a garden and steal a Brainrot. What started as a simple fascination with games turned into a real-life nightmare. My son turned 8 last spring, and like many semi-techie, semi-optimistic parents, my husband and I decided it was time to get him his very first computer. Not a hand-me-down iPad, not a locked-down school Chromebook, a real-deal desktop setup. We here at Summer thought we were being smart about it. Educational potential, digital literacy, online safety, all that good stuff. We even set it up in the dining room so we could monitor screen time. Spoiler alert, that didn't help. The first week was magical. Our little guy was beaming. He downloaded Tux Paint, messed around in Google Earth, and even watched National Geographic Kids videos without being asked. I was this close to posting on Facebook like one of those gentle parenting wins moms. Then, like a digital Venus flytrap, Roblox snapped shut. Now, let me just say, I knew of Roblox. I thought it was a weird Minecraft clone with worse graphics and a million free games made by children. That's honestly not far off, but I had no idea just how deep it went. He started playing one game called Adopt Me, fine, cute, pixelated pets, then another called Super Bomb Survival, bit violent, but okay, and then Grow a Garden. Mom, I'm a farmer now, he said one day, looking disturbingly serious. Cool, I said. Are you growing carrots? No, I'm cultivating ultra-mutated rainbow pizza plants to feed the mushroom god, and that should have been my red flag. But I laughed. Sounds creative. I said because I was stupid and naive and still believed screen time could be wholesome. Over the next few days, he was absolutely obsessed. Grow a Garden became his life. He had a notebook full of strategies. He knew how to breed wet frost chilies and prismatic sushi beans. He told me solemnly that gold weather was a buff from heaven and that fertilizer rush hour was his favorite part of the day. He even started referring to the in-game currency as shekels, like it was real money, like he was some kind of Wall Street botanist. My husband and I chuckled behind our coffee cups and joked, well, he could do worse than farming, if only we knew. But then he discovered Steal a Brainrot. That was the game where things started to turn. It was a competitive multiplayer capitalism simulator, his words not mine, where you steal exotic brain creatures from other players to increase your income per second. The rarer the Brainrot, the better the yield. At first I didn't think much of it. He was just yelling things like, I need the legendary frog brain, and I've been camping this spawn for 17 minutes. It sounded like a standard gaming tantrum, but soon he started talking like a mini hedge fund manager crossed with a bounty hunter. He called our cat a common household passive yield unit. I walked into the kitchen once and caught him trying to barter jelly beans for my Amazon login. It was cute, until it wasn't. Things spiraled faster than we expected, but I'll get to that. This was just the beginning. So grow a garden. It sounds so innocent, right? Like something your kindly great aunt would suggest you play while sipping lemonade on a porch. Nope, this game is crack, but for plant nerds, for hyper-focused children with god complexes. My son, bless his once adorable heart, transformed overnight into some kind of sleep-deprived botanical tycoon. He played before school, he played after school, he played during dinner, until we banned food near the desk, which led to a hunger strike that lasted 6 very dramatic hours. I once asked him why he wasn't brushing his teeth, and he looked me dead in the eyes and said, I can't leave. I'm 4 seconds away from a mega splice. A what? According to him, that's when you breed 2 ultra-rare mutated seeds during a weather event and use triple fertilizer while standing on a luck tile. It results in a mythical plant that gives 24,000 shekels a minute and unlocks a ghost cow. I genuinely don't know if he made that up or if it's real. I was too afraid to Google it. He started saying things like, Mom, I can't shower now. It's Gold Rainstorm in server 17. Can I have $6.99 to buy the Mushroom Duke expansion pack? Do we have any purple food coloring? I need it for plant roleplay. We were still sort of amused. You know, kids and their weird little games. We thought maybe it was a phase. That was until he printed out a spreadsheet, an actual spreadsheet, with ROI calculations, handwritten, on graph paper. He labeled it, Seed Profitability Chart, Do Not Touch. We touched it. He cried. Then came Steal a Brainrot. If Grow a Garden was the gateway drug, Steal a Brainrot was pure, uncut madness. This game was, I don't even know how to describe it. Imagine Grand Theft Auto meets Pokemon, but with screaming monsters that live in jars and make you virtual money while you're offline. Oh, and everyone is constantly trying to steal yours, including your own child, apparently. At first, I didn't realize how intense it was. He said things like, Mom, I'm going AFK but guarding with scarecrow decoys. I just sniped a fire spitter Brainrot from a noob, he cried in chat. Can I get a trench coat for school? I need to look more like a brain dealer. Brain dealer. He made charts for this game too. Pages and pages of them. He ranked all the Brainrots, from basic sponge to quantum star eater. He memorized spawn cycles. He knew which servers had the best player to rot ratios. He watched YouTubers with usernames like XXBrainDatXX and Steals for Life. I asked him what the goal of the game was. He looked at me like I was stupid. To get them all, Mom, and become the alpha hoarder. Duh. My husband and I had a serious talk that night. It started with him. Do we need to be concerned? Me. He's 8 and talking about becoming a criminal plant god. So maybe we decided to keep watching. Maybe it was just a Roblox phase, you know, like Pokemon cards. But Pokemon never made my kid yell, give me your rare, or I'll dig up your fence at the neighbor's dog, and that was still the calm before the storm. I think it really hit us when he stopped answering to his own name. I called up the stairs one morning, Jason, breakfast, and got no reply. So I went to his room and found him hunched over his computer, bloodshot eyes locked on a screen full of pulsating digital tomatoes. Jason? Nothing. Jason? He turned slowly, eyes wild, and hissed, my name is Rootmaster now. That was the beginning of the decline. He stopped doing chores. He stopped showering. He stopped going outside unless we forced him. When we asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, he said, a prestige 10, farmer with max tier fertilizer aura. His entire life revolved around the games. School became optional. He claimed that real life was the tutorial and that only losers level up in public education. We got emails from his teacher about unusual behavior, including drawing complex mutation trees in his math notebook, refusing to participate in gym because brainrots don't jog, they hatch, declaring that recess was a waste of real-time profit potential. I tried to set limits. Believe me, I did. We installed screen time caps. He hacked them. We put passwords on the Wi-Fi. He figured out hotspot tethering. We moved the computer into the living room. He started waking up at 3 a.m. to sneak downstairs and play in the dark, like a caffeine-fueled goblin. My husband tried to ground him once, after catching him yelling, "I just lost a diamond chunk to a server hopper," at the laptop. Jason looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You can't ground me. I'm root bound." What does that even mean? We still don't know. But he said it with such conviction that my husband just backed out of the room slowly, like he was dealing with a raccoon holding a knife. The turning point came when we overheard him talking to the computer, like actually having conversations. We crept up behind him one night and heard, "Don't worry, Farmlord 3000. They can't separate us. They don't understand the grind. They'll try to pull the plug, but they'll never delete our bond." He was hugging the monitor, stroking it. We didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or call an exorcist. That night, over wine and desperation, my husband and I had the talk. We created this monster and now we have to deinstall it talk. Next morning, we did the unthinkable. We took the computer. I unplugged it while he was asleep, hid the cords, locked it in a closet, left him a note that said, "We're taking a break from technology. Love, Mom and Dad." He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He didn't speak. He just stared at us for a long time, then turned and walked away, in complete silence, like a war general being betrayed by his most trusted advisors. For 36 hours, we thought maybe it worked. He sat quietly in his room, drawing, reading, we thought, being weirdly polite. He even hugged me once. It was a trap. Day 3 of the digital detox. I woke up to find the dining room table covered in dirt. Literal dirt. Jason had planted something in a lasagna pan. Seeds, fertilizer, labels. There was a spray bottle, a tiny heat lamp, and taped to the front of the tray was a note that said, "IRL Garden, Phase 1, shekels incoming." We had no idea what was coming next, but in hindsight, this was when the real game started. At this point, we were parenting like we were defusing a bomb. Every interaction with Jason felt like a calculated move. Don't raise your voice, don't say Roblox, don't touch the lasagna pan. But we were also human, and humans have limits. Our breaking point came during what I now refer to as the mutant pizza incident. It was a Saturday night. My husband and I were watching TV, enjoying a glass of wine and trying not to talk about our little garden goblin. That's when Jason burst into the living room holding a plate covered in something that may have once been a pizza. "Mom, Dad, you have to taste this. It's based on the game recipe. It's got mushroom essence, basil oil, glitter sprinkles, and rainbow syrup." I stared at it. It stared back. "Sweetie, is that edible glitter?" He grinned. "Don't worry, it's food grade. I used the good stuff this time." This time. My husband took the plate, placed it gently on the coffee table like it was radioactive, and said, "Okay, that's it." We gathered every cable, every accessory, every glowing gamer mouse with RGB vomit lights. We locked them in a box. We moved the computer to the attic. We revoked screen privileges indefinitely. Jason stood in silence for a full minute. Then he said in the calmest, most ominous voice I've ever heard, "If the cloud can't hold my progress, I'll just grow it here." He walked away, slowly, no yelling, no crying, just quiet. That was somehow worse. The next week was deceptively normal. Jason got up on time, ate cereal, went to school, no glitter, no charts, no screaming about shekels. We thought, oh my God, we did it. We broke the cycle. We were idiots. One morning, I went outside to water my plants and nearly tripped over a row of neatly labeled planter boxes, arranged in perfect symmetry. Each was marked with a little hand-drawn tag. Tier 1, carrot. Tier 2, garlic, mutated. Tier 3, forbidden cucumber. There was even a scarecrow, made from an old mop, ski goggles, and one of my silk scarves. Jason appeared behind me like a ninja. "I'm rotating crops today," he said. "The weather's been favorable for wet class veggies." I asked him how he got seeds. He smiled, looked up at the sky, and said, "Deals were made." That night, I checked my Amazon account. He had somehow managed to reset my password, use a gift card from last Christmas, and order $84 worth of exotic heirloom seeds, including something called Dragon Fruit of Chaos and Nightshade Infinity Beans. We confronted him. He denied everything, then slipped a handwritten invoice under our bedroom door titled "Investment Costs, Future ROI Pending." We grounded him harder. No garden, no allowance, no more anything. He took it oddly well, which should have warned us, because when we thought the chaos had peaked, when we believed no further escalation was possible, he leveled up. He moved on from plants. He started acquiring animals. It started small. A squirrel here, a bird there. At first, we thought it was just normal boy stuff. You know, kids being curious, catching bugs, maybe chasing a frog or two. But then one day, I walked into the garage and found a shoebox labeled common brain rots. Inside were 2 snails, 1 suspiciously calm pigeon, a stray kitten that looked genuinely confused to be there. Jason had built tiny paper signs inside, like a little petting zoo. One said, "Low tier income." Another had an arrow pointing at the kitten with passive multiplier. "Do not trade." I didn't even know what to say. "Jason," I asked carefully, "why is there a pigeon in our garage?" He looked at me with the same expression that Steve Jobs probably gave during iPhone presentations. "Because doves are the starter class, but if you feed them rainbow seeds, they evolve." Oh, of course, silly me. We shut it down immediately. The pigeon was released. The snails were rehomed to the garden. The kitten, apparently taken from under a neighbor's porch, was returned with many awkward apologies. We told Jason very clearly, no more animals, no stealing, no farming, no more recreating your weird little games in real life. He nodded, said he understood, and for one blessed day, things were quiet, until our neighbor, Mrs. Crenshaw, an 84-year-old woman who collects rescue rabbits, came to our door holding an empty cage. "You haven't seen Marshmallow, have you?" she asked. I wanted to say no. I wanted it to not be true. But then I saw something white and fluffy dart past the window, wearing a paper hat labeled Albino Brainrot X12 Earnings. The next week was chaos. He stole 3 rabbits, 1 parakeet, a turtle from a garden pond, an entire shoebox of baby hamsters from a kid at school. He was hiding them in the basement, under a blanket fort he dubbed the Brainrot Bunker. There were heat lamps, feeding schedules, tiny makeshift name tags like Gold Vomiter, Fluffcore Rager, Quantum Pooper. We tried to reason with him, bribe him, beg him. He just looked at us and said, "They need me. No one else is farming them efficiently." Word spread fast in the neighborhood. Kids started talking, parents started whispering. One mom asked me, in the middle of Trader Joe's, if I had seen her son's guinea pig wearing googly eyes. The HOA sent a formal letter, then an informal one, then a petition. People were knocking on our door at all hours, demanding the return of gerbils, birds, and whatever. You did to my dog's fur, he looks like a Pokemon now. I found out Jason had been using my hair dye on a stolen spaniel. There was glitter. There were feathers glued to its back. He called it Shiny Brainrot Prestige Edition. That's when someone, we still don't know who, called Child Protective Services, and honestly, I don't blame them. A man in a vest came to evaluate the situation. He asked Jason questions. Jason responded like a CEO giving a TED Talk. We're currently scaling operations. The rabbit sector had supply issues, but I'm diversifying. My parents are interfering with my financial independence. It's oppressive. The man took a long, slow breath and wrote something in his notebook. That evening, we got a formal warning. If another incident happened, we'd be facing family court. And that, my friends, was not even the end. It was only the beginning of our exile. At this point, we were known in the neighborhood as the Brainrot family. People crossed the street when they saw us. Children whispered. Someone keyed our minivan and scratched the words, "Return the rabbit," into the door. I started getting strange looks at PTA meetings. One mom refused to sit next to me at the book fair. Another asked if we planned to vaccinate the rodents before spring. Even the mailman gave us side-eye. We were no longer a family. We were a local cryptid. The final straw came when Jason broke into the community garden at 2 a.m. with a flashlight and a shovel. He was caught digging up the tomato patch, muttering something about genetic material for phase 3. The gardener found him, standing barefoot in the moonlight, holding a dirt-covered carrot and whispering, "You will become golden." We were called to emergency mediation with the HOA. They brought lawyers. Jason brought a binder titled Garden Optimization Through Unsupervised Acquisition. He made a PowerPoint. There were transition effects, bullet points, clip art. At one point, he referred to the community garden as a low-security loot drop. I think the phrase spawn camping the compost pile was used. The HOA president stood up and said very calmly, "Either you leave or we escalate this legally." Then came family court. Yes, court, a real courtroom, a real judge, real lawyers. The social worker read out a list of incidents. Unauthorized animal collection, digital identity theft. Apparently Jason had also created 6 Amazon accounts. Destruction of property. RIP Mrs. Crenshaw's tulip bed. Guinea pig trafficking. Her words, not mine. Jason was asked if he understood the seriousness of the situation. He nodded, then stood up and said, "Your Honor, I'm just trying to maximize yield. You wouldn't arrest a stockbroker for managing assets, would you?" Silence. Even the stenographer choked on a laugh. The judge sighed, rubbed his temples, looked at us like we were holding a lit Molotov. "You have 2 options," he said. "Enroll this child in full-time psychological evaluation and submit to weekly monitoring, or remove him from this jurisdiction entirely. Translation, leave and don't come back." So we left. We sold our house, packed the van, moved 6 hours away to a small town where no one had heard of Grow a Garden or Steal a Brainrot. No one called us names. No one left glitter-covered squirrels on our porch. No one asked what a passive yield unit was. Jason adjusted, sort of. He still whispers to plants. He's growing cacti now. Says they're low maintenance, high value. He wears gardening gloves to school. Takes a lunchbox labeled Shekel Vault. But at least he hasn't dyed a chihuahua purple in over 2 months. So progress. It's been 4 months since the move. We're in a new town now. Smaller, quieter, full of people who still say things like howdy, unironically, and bake pies for strangers. It's oddly wholesome. The kind of place where the biggest drama is the PTA budget or someone's dog pooping in the wrong yard. We enrolled Jason in a small school with no computers and classrooms, just pencils, paper, and the occasional old projector that smells like burnt toast. He hasn't asked for his gaming PC once. Instead, he's built a miniature greenhouse in the backyard using soda bottles and leftover IKEA parts. It's terrifyingly impressive. He tracks humidity, talks about root health, refers to himself again as Root Master, but now in a calmer Zen tone. I caught him giving a TED Talk to a cactus yesterday. He ends every sentence with, "And that's why you must never go full hydroponic unless you're emotionally ready." Do I worry? Yes. Do I sleep with one eye open, listening for the rustle of rabbit cages? Also, yes. But something has changed. He's calmer, focused, slightly less unhinged. The other day, he brought me a cup of mint tea, fresh mint, from his garden, and said, "Mom, I no longer chase shekels. I chase balance." I nearly cried, and then he added, "But if you ever let me play again, I could make so much money from mutated bonsai NFTs." So, we're not out of the woods, just navigating a slightly less haunted forest. To all the parents out there, if you're thinking about buying your child a gaming PC and letting them discover Roblox and giving them just a little time to unwind, I beg you, do your research. Learn what Grow a Garden is. Learn what a Brainrot is. Learn that shekels are not just a silly in-game currency. They're a state of mind. And most importantly, never let your child understand how the economy works. Because once they do, once they realize profit scales with time and that everything is a grindable system, you're not raising a kid anymore. You're raising a CEO, or worse, a farmer. Final note for Reddit. Yes, this is all real. No, I'm not exaggerating. Yes, we're in therapy. No, he's not allowed to touch anything with the word Roblox on it. Yes, we still sometimes find glitter in the vents. And yes, he did name the cactus Brainrot Prime. He says it speaks to him. I don't ask what it says anymore.